Tinubu's disqualification and judgments Supreme Court will overturn to save Tinubu, which is an impossible task. So what this is saying is that the disqualification and judgment concerning Tinubu that the Supreme Court would want to overturn to save him will be an impossible task. And this means that Tinubu stands the chance of, he's just like a temporary office holder right now, and the thing is going to be too huge for him. When somebody is too desperate and he chooses to do crooked things to win, it's going to be, it will be a very terrible one. He can't find peace. Since they declared him winner, he has not been able to celebrate it because it's not a winning. There is still more trouble for him ahead. I'm sure all both the sacrifices, physical and spiritual sacrifices, spending of money that he has done are probably not working. They're just temporarily on operating. It's obviously going to end in such a way that he never believed it. When you are not destined for something, don't die over it and don't make it a do or die. Have your peace. When it is yours, it is yours. But Tinubu Emilokon is his own. It's his turn. That is what he wants. And that is what he has told Nigerians, and that is what he wants. As the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal progresses, Nigerians are already looking forward to how the judgment will decide. Or will be decided. Not just at the tribunal level, but also at the Supreme Court level. Confidence is very low, and one can't blame people for feeling this way, because based on recent rulings of the Supreme Court have turned logic and the law upside down. So it is understandable that people lose confidence. Many people might be saying that all judges are the same. They have collected money and they have taken bribes and believing that nothing will come out of it, that no one can remove a sitting president. These are just some of the many permutations and issues being discussed. However, when one looks at the gravity of what Tinubu has done and all the baggage that comes with him, along with the massive evidence presented in court, the judges at the Supreme Court will need to go to extreme level in order to free Tinubu. There have been many judicial precedents that the Supreme Court justices have been a part of in the past few years. While the Supreme Court has the right to revisit a case or reverse their decisions if they have new information, the question is, how many times will they do this in order to free Tinubu? If it is just one judgment that may need to reverse, people might think it is just a one-off and public opinion might not be against them. However, when you consider that they would need to reverse multiple judgments, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or even 7, in order to free him, it becomes a matter of morality rather than just taking bribes or favoring someone by using technicalities. And it doesn't stop there. What about the implications of the judgment if they eventually overturn all past judgments in order to favor him? What would that mean in Nigeria going forward in terms of politics and governance? It would undoubtedly change the political landscape in Nigeria. For example, the Supreme Court judgment that made Lawan, who didn't contest for the senatorial primaries, to become the winner of the election. Before this judgment, it was possible for someone who didn't contest the election properly but won the primaries election at the party level to become the winner of the election. That was how Amechi became the governor of Rivers State. He won the PDP governorship primaries, but somehow INEC put Celestino Mejia's name on the ballot for the general election, and the Supreme Court restored him. Many people hailed the Supreme Court for delivering justice in that case. However, why didn't many people hail the Supreme Court when they deliver judgment on Lawan's case and that of Akpabio, it shows that something was definitely wrong with those judgments. Now, let's look at the first judgment that the Supreme Court justices would need to overturn in order to free Tinubu. In 2003, Buhari lost the presidential election to Obasanjo and went to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Eventually, the Supreme Court ruled that despite Obasanjo's not winning Abuja, what was needed was for the candidate to score at least 25% of the total vote cast in the federal capital. In the federal capital, 25% in 2/3 of the states in Nigeria must still score 25% in Abuja. This was interpretation. The next judicial precedent that the Supreme Court justices would need to overturn was set back in 2008 in the case of Buhari versus Yar'Adua. Buhari sought the cancellation of the presidential election because Yar'Adua didn't win Abuja. However, the Supreme Court justice that sat on the panel disagreed with him. They followed the earlier precedent of 2003 and ruled in the same manner that 25% was only required in Abuja, not a win. Therefore, they struck off Buhari's petition. So based on 25% requirement, the Supreme Court has already made two judgments, stating that a presidential candidate must win 25% in Abuja before being declared the winner. And Tinubu obviously did not achieve this required percentage in the FCT. And since this section of the Constitution was not amended before the presidential election, it becomes a dead end for Tinubu. He cannot escape it. The Supreme Court has no option but to follow precedent by annulling his victory. Regardless of how people feel about the 25% requirement in Abuja, it is still the law, and the law must be upheld. It is practically impossible for someone to have 25% in all 36 states of the Federation, but without having it in Abuja. Exactly. Abuja represents all Nigerians. So if you are already popular in some states in Nigeria, it means you are popular in Abuja as well. All past presidents, including MKO Abiola, scored the required 25% in Abuja. Therefore, the case of Tinubu won't be different. Oh boy. The third judgment that will be needed to overturn was delivered in 2014. And as fate will have it, the current Chief Justice of Nigeria was part of panel of judges that delivered the judgment in that groundbreaking case of Abacha versus the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Supreme Court ruled that if forfeiture is a result of a crime, there can be no forfeiture if there is no crime. So if someone forfeits something, that means a crime was committed. Therefore, so this judgment is judicial precedent will ensure that Tinubu is disqualified. That's with the case of the U.S. forfeiture. Oh boy. So they are trying to narrate all the previous cases, that proves that Tinubu is obviously not going to escape what is on ground right now. He's obviously not going to escape it. All these four judgments, about three of them about the 25% required in Abuja, and one of them about the forfeiture, which the present CJN, Justice Ariwola, was part of that judgment, shows that Tinubu is obviously not going to escape all of this judgment. This is a very huge one coming before him, and I wonder how he's going to survive it. I wonder how he's going to survive it. This is a very huge one. I mean it. This is a very huge one. Few comments here. Somebody say, hearsay, because no concrete evidence has been presented. The writer wants to intimidate the judges. He's not intimidating judges now. He's making reference to previous judgment. That is it. Please and please and please refrain from calling President Tinubu's name. You are please advised to call it a party. Can you imagine? It is unfortunate that some Nigerians, especially the Igbos, will sit down at home and write judgments from the Supreme Court. The writer was just contradicting himself. till today, there has not been a direct ruling on a candidate scoring 25% of votes cast in Abuja as prerequisite for any election by any court in Nigeria. Also, judgment on Oyetola's case did not make reference on IREV. Where is this writer getting his information from? All these ones are just what they think. Okay, but the point has been made, and there is need to look at exactly what judgments have been ruled, similar judgments in the past, and how they were ruled. All what you said is pre-election matters. It will be technically thrown out. Can you imagine? So people are already trying to abuse this write-up without extracting something out of it. Nigerians are watching. The world is also watching. The truth must be shown to all. God will help Nigeria and Nigerians. Amen. So, yeah, that's you get where things go happen. Rich. Everybody go preempt every case now. That is how it works. Okay. So what it means is that there have been previous judgments that have similarities with this one that have been ruled, and the law has not been amended till now, that the current panel will also need to follow suit to pass their judgment this time around. So Tinubu actually is not free. It is not over until it is over. And everybody, the whole world is looking at this panel and the judges to deliver, to see how they will deliver their judgment. This is a serious one. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment on all of these previous cases that have the same similarity with what is going on at the Presidential Election Petition Court right now.